Hello everybody, my name is Gavin Walsh and this is
Charlotte Cullen.
and Charlotte is going to talk to us today about pretty much a traumatic episode she's been through over the last 6-7 years, and thankfully is currently out the brighter side of it. In fact, she's come out of it very well at the moment. So Charlotte, it all goes back to what, around
2014.
And what happened?
In March 2014, I had a very bad cough and I got very hoarse and I had pain in my ear going down my shoulder, and I couldn't move my neck. So I was up and down to the doctor and they were putting me on steroids and antibiotics and everything, and it still wasn't clearing. And then in June, I found a lump on my neck just around here.
Now, did you go to the doctor between the March and the June? No.
I would have been up. Yeah, I would have been up a few times, and I was on steroids and stuff.
And what were you been told? There was no mention of the C word at this point.
No mention of it at all. No. And yeah, then I found the lump, so I went and they started getting a bit worried then, and I was brought in for a biopsy. But they were thinking it was around my throat, like because of the hoarseness and that. So it was the ENT doctor that was doing it. And yeah, I had the biopsy, but they were very slow kind of with results and that. And then I went on holidays in the end of July.
Where'd you go to?
Went to Fuerteventura.
Oh, beautiful.
And
is that Tenerife, one of the Canaries?
One of the Canaries, yeah. And when I got there, then I was very, very sick and very weak, and I thought I was great that I was able to wear my shorts and I had no big belly or anything, but it wasn't. It was that the weight had fallen off me from the cancer.
The cancer was eating you at that point.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you come back from there.
So I came back from...
Did you go to any hospital or doctor out there? No.
Out there, no.
Right.
And then on the last day of the holiday, my appetite just completely went, and that was it. And when I came back, I was brought into hospital, and I was in there for a week. But all along, I had been up and down, and I had various biopsies, but they could never... They used to call me the enigma up there. And then I was in hospital for a week having all these tests done and the whole lot. And on the Friday, a doctor he's a brilliant doctor, Dr. Chu, he was from ENT as well, but he came down to the bed to me and he asked me all the questions that I had been telling them all along about my symptoms. And he asked me each thing that was wrong with me. He asked me,
like as if he was filling up a sheet,
ticking off
tick box.
So it was him that figured out what was wrong with me, and I was sent to Galway for a PET scan. On the Monday, I was brought by ambulance in the morning, and I had the PET scan, and then I got the phone call. I got home. It was actually Shamey O'Boyle who brought me home. It was
fair play.
During the fla.
No surprise
there. So couldn't get a lift. It was very hard to get a lift, and poor old Shamey, Lord of mercy.
So that's if that's the fla, that's August 14, right? 2014,
yeah.
Right.
I got out of hospital that day anyway, and then within a week I got a call and I was told to bring somebody with me. So I knew it was bad news. So my cousin, she's a rock, she came with me. And
what were you formally diagnosed with at that point?
At that point, the doctor told me basically there's maybe 5 forms of lung cancer that you can have, and if she had to pick any one of them, that would be the one that she would pick.
So you were off to a little bit of a half decent start.
Yeah. And I was waiting to get word. She said that I'd have to have chemotherapy and all that. So I was waiting to get word about the chemotherapy, and I got the call and I went up and I brought my daughter with me. First mistake, because she's a softie. And I went in, and the oncologist was just sitting there, and his, the nurse that assists him was there. And he says, well, what do you know so far? So I was there with the laughing head on me saying, well, I know it's this bloody blah. And he said, well, I'm sorry to have to tell you. He says, you have stage 4 lung cancer, and it's gone to your lymph nodes and your thyroid. So I was in shock, but I was okay. Because my daughter just went to pieces. So I couldn't ask questions with her beside me. So I sent her down to get a cup of tea or something. So then when I asked the questions, like what was the prognosis and all that, he said that with chemo, I'd be lucky to have a year.
So you were effectively, you were at this point given a terminal diagnosis.
Yeah, stage 4 terminal. I had a year with chemo.
And just to put
year without chemo, and 3 years with chemo.
And just to put this in perspective for people watching this, this is 2014. This is 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, keep going. Go on.
So that was
So how long after that did you start the chemo?
About 2 weeks later. A week later I started. No, yeah, about a week later.
And how long was
chemo?
How long was the chemo
was
for?
Every 3 weeks for 6 sessions every 3 weeks. So basically 18 weeks. And now the chemo was all right getting it, like it was, because they put a port in and you get it intravenously. But there was it was a concoction of 3 different chemos, so it was very, very heavy stuff.
And side effects?
Side effects were like you were fine for 3 days or whatever, you were on the steroids, but then you just go down like a sack of potatoes, and I'd have to take to the bed, and I would not be able to eat or lift even something off the table.
And had you hair loss this first time
around? No hair loss, right. Even though it was a very strong chemo.
Right.
I got no hair loss. But the side effects now, and I'd have to say this for anyone who is ever, God forbid they're not, but always look out for constipation. That was the worst.
And you also had just a lot of bouts of tingles and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that was more for the second one.
Right, okay.
The first one was more just absolutely zero energy. I just had to stay in the bed for, it used to be about 5 days.
After each bout of receiving it?
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 days after. If I had it on a Friday, we'll say on the Tuesday, I'd go down until the following, probably Tuesday, Saturday, I'd start getting out of the bed,
energy
and be
back,
able to sit, and I'd have my first spit teeth. But also that time I couldn't swallow. I'd choke. I was always choking the whole time, because that was because of the thyroid. And so I was living on Complan and soup.
Liquid foods.
Yeah.
So you go through that whole first phase of chemotherapy, and how your results come back okay?
They came
after
back,
the first.
They were coming back kind of the same.
You were just holding your own, right?
Yeah, and I was on the maintenance treatment.
What was that?
That was just to kind of maintain, because it was terminal.
Right.
Just to kind of try and maintain things to the way they were, I think. Whatever.
Okay.
And
so after that chemo ends, how long? What brings on the next phase?
Next time, then one of the scans came back that the tumours had grown a few centimetres, and so I've started a second
bout of chemo.
Yeah, and that was the same every 3 weeks for like 18 weeks, and this time I lost my hair.
Completely lost.
Completely, yeah, and it was very handy though.
Yeah.
It was great. Didn't have to shave.
Didn't have to go
to the hairdressers or anything. And the Sinead O'Connor look suited me.
So anyway, so you went through that, and what was the outcome to that? Did it shrink?
It shrunk a bit, yeah. They shrunk a bit.
So now we're into 15 or 2016? 2016.
2016. And one day, when I was up having treatment, a nurse or whatever she was, she came to me and asked me would I be interested in signing up for a trial drug.
Mm-hmm.
So I had nothing to lose, so I signed it. And then a few months later, the oncologist at the time, he's gone now, but he said that he called me and said that they were going to start me on this immunotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I can describe it is
it narrows down on the area.
The area, yeah,
right,
and your
right.
immune system. It tries to build up your
right.
immune system
right.
and that. And actually, Vicky Phelan, it was Keytruda, it was called, and Vicky Phelan, who would have been the spearhead of the campaign against the government with the cervical
scandal.
She had that maintenance, same maintenance, the same Keytruda, the trial, and since that.
So when did you start? Just to tell people, when did you start the trial treatment?
That would have been 2016, late 2016.
And at that point,
that went on for 18 months.
Right.
And then I have been on no treatment since, and the maintenance treatment shrunk all the tumours.
Just so the viewer understands, because this is the real magic end to it all. Well, so far, and then fingers crossed it'll stay good for you. Since you took this trial treatment drug, and it is basically a one-off, you're not, as things stand now, you're not going to get it again, as they stand right now.
No.
And how long did you take it for?
18 months.
And so put a rough time on that, 2016 into 2017.
Yeah.
And you've had treatment or scans to check your progress in all that time, and worse things after you.
Things couldn't be better, really.
You're still here.
Said, I'm still here.
You're still above ground.
Yeah, no getting rid of me.
After stage 4 cancer 7 years ago. And what do you credit it to? Do you credit it to?
Definitely that immunotherapy. I wouldn't be
this
here
trial.
without that.
This trial.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And when did you have your last scan?
I had my last scan about a month ago, and I got the results last Thursday, and the doctor was very pleased, and he said that there's absolutely, you couldn't believe like that the way I was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm 5'8.5", and I was under 8 stone, and like people were just waiting.
I remember here, because you live in the area where my local pub is, and I remember the talk about it, and the way people talk, and you were for want of a better word, you were for the out at several points. So.
Back garden,
yeah. You were for underground, as to say. Yeah. So anyway, so you got the most recent results of your scans only last week.
Yeah.
And how are they?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Isn't this great news? This shows you there's hope for everyone out there that has cancer. Yeah. So just to recap, 7 years ago you had stage 4 cancer. One year max with chemo.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't walk from here to
100 feet even.
Yeah.
You were out of energy.
Yeah.
Zapped.
Yeah, zapped.
And here's the kicker. She still has her little smokies.
Never give up the cigarettes. I shouldn't be saying that. And the little glass of vino does no harm either.
Anyway, you're still here, Charlotte, and we wish you well. And just to tell you, Charlotte contacted me after you saw an article of me in a newspaper some time back, and we sort of touched base.
Another great man.
We sort of touched base on being cancer survivors, for want of a better word, and we wish you well, Charlotte, and it's great to
very much.
See how you've beaten it and keep up
See you
whatever
in another
it takes.
7 years.
77. Anyway, cheers, guys. Say goodbye.
Bye.